A very good evening to all of you. Uh, First and foremost, before starting today's discussion, let me wish Happy Guru Purnima to all of you because we all are learning from each other, and therefore, anyone and everyone from whom we learn is a stepping into the shoes of a Guru, and therefore, a very happy Guru Purnima to all of you. I'm lucky that today we can do this session. On the last occasion, if I'm rightly remembering, we were doing circulars. I think since last entire week we were discussing circulars because in section 9 there are a lot of circulars that we are covering. So let me share the screen and so that we can start with today's discussion. Yes. Now the screen is there on your screen. So 34. Last time we have concluded on 32 of 2018. Today we'll be starting with 34 of 2018, dated 1st March 2018. And it is a circular which is clarifying with regards to GST in respect of certain services. Let's see. What does it say? Let me just share it. Yes. Now it's there on your screen. 34 by 2018. 1st March 2018. Clarifications regarding GST in respect of certain services. I'm directed to issue clarification with regards to the following issues as approved by the Fitment Committee of the GST Council to the GST Council in its meeting held on 9th, 10th and 13th of January 2018. So these are certain issues which were raised and which were approved, I would say, in the GST Council. And thereafter, the circular has been issued. Whether any activity of bus body building is a supply of goods or services. I've been receiving certain requests that in spite of taking this entire session in English, if we can mix it. So आज से I'll try to mix as much as possible with both the language so that whosoever attends it finds it useful and easy to understand. Maybe it will take some more time, but since the time restriction is not there, allow me to use both the languages. So query है कि जो बस बॉडी बिल्डिंग की एक्टिविटी है ये सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स होगा या सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस होगा. Let's see what is the clarification given. In the case of bus boarding building, there is a supply of goods and supply of services. Thus, classification of this composite supply as goods or service would depend on which supply is the principal supply, which may be determined on the basis of facts and circumstance of each case. So, simple सा आंसर दिया है कि जो बस की बॉडी बिल्डिंग होती है उसमें गुड्स और सर्विसेज दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन होता है. So technically it becomes a composite supply. And when I say supply of both goods and services, then we are also supposed to identify whether it is a composite or a mixed supply. जहाँ पे एक से ज्यादा की सप्लाई साथ में होती है वहां पे हमको डिटरमाइन करना पड़ता है कि ये सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स है, सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विसेज दोनों साथ में है. तो उस सिचुएशन में क्या ये कंपोजिट सप्लाई है या ये मिक्स सप्लाई. सो यहाँ इन्होंने क्लारीफाई किया कि जो क्लासिफिकेशन है वो कंपोजिट सप्लाई में होगा. अब वो गुड्स होगा या सर्विस होगा ये टोटली डिपेंड करेगा जो फैक्ट्स और सर्कमस्टांस हैं केसेस के. अकॉर्डिंगली हम डिटरमाइन करेंगे फैक्ट्स और सर्कमस्टांसेस के बेसिस पे दैट व्हाट इज द प्रिंसिपल सप्लाई And if the principal supply will be of goods, then it will be goods. If it will be of supply of service, then it will be service. Next, whether retreading of tires is a supply of goods or services. जब आप retread करते हैं एक टायर को, तो वो supply of goods है, supply of service है. In retreading of a tire, which is a composite supply, the predominant element is the process of retreading, which is a supply of service. तो इसमें जो predominant element है, वो retreading का है, जिसको हम supply of service बोलेंगे. Rubber which is used for retreading is an ancillary supply. So that is an additional and ancillary supply, the rubber which is being used. Which part of composite supply is a principal supply must be determined keeping in view the nature of supply involved. So which is the principal supply has to depend on the nature of the supply which is involved. Value may be one of the guiding factors in this determination, but not the sole factor. Value के basis पे आप determine कर सकते हो, guidance ले सकते हो, but that will not be the sole factor. The primary question that should be asked is what is the essential nature of the composite supply? And which element of the supply imparts that essential nature to the composite supply? So जो सबसे important question है वो ये है कि जो essential nature है composite supply का वो क्या है और कौन सा वो element है supply का जो वो essential character को या essential nature को impart करता है composite supply में. So therefore they are saying supply of retreaded tires where old tires belong to the supplier of retreaded tires is supply of goods. जहाँ पे supplier का ही होता है. So it will be under heading 4012 of the customs and the tax rate will be 28%. Next query is whether priority sector lending certificates are outside the purview of GST and therefore not taxable. जो priority sector lending certificates हैं, क्या वो outside of GST and therefore it is not taxable? That is the query. Just give me a minute. Now, the answer is in Reserve Bank of India, FAQ on PSLC, that is Priority Sector Lending Certificate, it has been mentioned that PSLC may be construed to be in the nature of goods, dealing in which has been notified as a permissible activity under Section 6, Subsection 1 of the Banking Regulation Act 1949. 1949, White Government of India notification dated 4th February 2016. PSLC are not securities. PSLC are akin to freely tradable duty scripts, renewable energy certificates, renewable REP license, replenishment license, which attracted VAT. So therefore they are saying that it is basically falling within the purview of goods. And further it is being clarified that in GST there is no exemption in trading in PSLC. Thus, PSLC are taxable as goods at a standard rate of 18% under residual entry 453 of Schedule 3 of Notification number 1 of 2017. GST payable on certificates would be available as ITC to the bank buying these certificates. So therefore, it is now clarified that it is, the query was whether it is leviable to GST, whether it is falling within the purview of GST. So the answer is yes. And the rate of tax will be 18%, the average rate, the standard rate, and it will be falling and classified into the residual entry, which is 453. Next question is whether the activities carried by DISCOMs against recovery of charges from consumers under state electricity are exempt from GST. So जो भी आप डिस्कॉम की जो एक्टिविटीज वो कैरी आउट करते हैं और वो रिकवरी करते हैं कुछ चार्जेस की कंज्यूमर से स्टेट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एक्ट में, whether that is exempt under GST, that is the query. दूसरी query है whether the guarantee provided by state government to state owned companies against guarantee commission is taxable under GST. So जो guarantee देती है state government state owned companies को against the guarantee commission, whether it is taxable under GST. So these are the two queries which we have to see what the department or what the board has clarified. Services by way of transmission or distribution of electricity by an electricity transmission or distribution utility is exempt from GST. So therefore, any services which is by way of transmission or distribution of electricity is exempt by notification 12/2017, serial number 25. The other services such as application fees for releasing connection of electricity, rental charges against metering equipment, testing fees for meters, transformers, capacitors, etc., labor charges from customers for shifting of meters or shifting of service lines, charges for duplicate bill provided by discoms to the consumers are taxable. So merely the transmission of electricity is exempt. Over and above that, the exemption is not there. The rest of the services which is being provided shall be taxable. The services which is provided by the central government or the state government to any business entity, including PSUs, by way of guaranteeing the loans taken by them from financial institutions against consideration in any form of guarantee commission is taxable. So the second query answer is that is also taxable. If any guarantee is given by the state government to state-owned entity companies against the guarantee commission, then that guarantee commission is taxable and therefore GST will be applicable to this. So this was circular number 34. Now let us go back. Yes. Now the next circular is 35 of 2019. It is clarifying issues regarding taxable services provided by the member of the joint venture to the joint venture, member of the joint venture to the joint venture, and vice versa. That means joint venture to the members, and inter se between the members of the JV, or inter se between amongst the members. What will be the status? So let me share. This is 35/2019. Fifth March, 35/2018. 5th March 2018 is the date of this circular. Joint venture taxable services provided by members of the joint venture to joint venture and vice versa, and inter se between the members of JV. Now let us read this threadbare and try to understand. What does it say? I'm directed to say that in the service tax regime, CBSE wide circular number 179 of service tax issued from file number so and so, dated 24th September 2014, had clarified that if cash calls are merely transaction in money, if cash calls are merely transaction in money, then they are excluded from the definition of service provided in 65B of 44 of the Finance Act. So that was excluded from the purview, and therefore no service tax was applicable. Whether a cash call is merely a transaction in money and hence not in the nature of consideration for taxable service would depend on the terms of the joint venture agreement. Could be in the nature of advance payments, which may vary from case to case. The circular clarified that cash calls sometimes could be in the nature of advance payments made by members towards taxable services received from joint venture. So technically it depends on the case to case, on the facts and circumstances of the case. The circular further stated that JV being an unincorporated temporary association constituted for the limited purpose of carrying out a specified project within a time frame, a comprehensive examination of various JV agreements. At times, there could be number of inter se agreements between the members of the JV, holds the key to understanding of the taxation of transactions involving taxable services between the JV and its members or inter se between the members of a JV. Therefore, officers in the field formations were advised to carefully examine the leviability of service tax with respect to the specific terms or clauses of each JV agreement. So, this was for service tax. In the service tax law, service was defined as an activity carried out by a person for another for consideration. Explanation 3 to this said definition stated that an unincorporated association or body of persons, as the case may be, and a member thereof shall be treated as distinct person. So, unincorporated person and a member thereof shall be treated as distinct person, which is accepted in service tax. Now, GST is levied on intrastate and interstate supply of goods and services. According to Section 7 of the CGST Act 2017, the expression supply includes all forms of supply. The definition of the scope of supply is mentioned, so I'm skipping it. The definition of business in Section 217 states that business includes provision by a club, association, society, or any such body for a subscription or any other consideration of the facilities or benefits to its members. The term person is also defined in 2 clause 84 to include association of person or body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, in India or outside India. Further, Schedule 2 of the CGST Act enumerates activities which are to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. It states in para 7 that supply of goods by unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration shall be supply of goods. So what is that? It says in para 7, it is stated that a supply of goods by an unincorporated association or body of individuals or persons to a member for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration shall be treated as supply of goods. A conjoint reading of the above provision of law implies that supply of services by an unincorporated association or body of persons or association of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment, other valuable consideration shall be treated as supply of service. So can be treated as supply of services or supply of goods. Now, the above entry in Schedule 2 is analogous to and draws a strength from the provision of Article 369, 29A, Clause E of the Constitution, according to which a tax on the sale or purchase of goods, including a tax on the sale on the supply of goods by an unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration. So it is found to be analogous to that. Therefore, अब ये इंपॉर्टेंट है पैराग्राफ कि यहाँ पे अब वो आपको बता रहा है. अभी तक तो ये क्लियर कर दिया कि साहब टैक्सेबिलिटी तो है, इसने डेफिनेशन दे दिया बिजनेस का, इसने सप्लाई का दे दिया, और उसके हिसाब से जो टैक्सेबिलिटी है वो तो आ रही. Now they are saying, therefore, the law with regard to levy of GST on service supplied by member of unincorporated joint venture to the joint venture or to other members of the joint venture or by the joint venture to the members essentially remain the same as it was under the service tax law. Therefore, it is clarified that clarification given by board in circular number 179 dated 24th of September 2014 IBIT in the context of service tax is applicable for the purpose of levy of GST also. It is reiterated that the question whether cash calls are taxable or not will entirely depends on the facts and circumstances of the case. Cash calls are raised by an operating member of the joint venture on other members in proportion to their participating interest in the joint venture, which is unincorporated, to meet the expenditure on the operations to be carried out as per the approved work program and budget. So therefore, कैश कॉल्स को बताया गया है कि दिस इज समथिंग विच इज रेज्ड. जो ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर है वो रेज करता है, जॉइंट वेंचर के ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर रेज करता है दूसरे सभी मेंबर्स को उसकी पार्टिसिपेटिंग इंटरेस्ट है उसके प्रोपोर्शन में, और इसका पर्पस होता है टू मीट द एक्सपेंडिचर्स which is on the operations to be carried out as per the approved work program and budget. So taxability of cash calls can be further explained by the following illustrations. Illustration A. There are 4 members in the JV, including the operating member, and each one contributes rupees 100 as part of their share. So 4 member हैं, सभी 100 रुपए contribution है. A total amount of 400 rupees is collected. The operating member purchases machinery for rupees 400 for the JV to be used in oil production. So this is cash part. There are 4 members in the JV, including the operating member, and each one contributes 100 as part of their share. Total amount of 400 is collected. The operating member thereafter uses its own machine and performs exploration and production activities on behalf of JV. तो क्या करता है ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर, खुद की मशीन जो है उसको वो यूज कर लेता है. पहले में क्या था कि वो 400 रुपए की मशीन खरीदते थे जेवी की. अब क्या है कि जो उसकी खुद की मशीन है ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर की, वो यूज करता है और उससे वो सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करता है. सो नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? अगर आप इलस्ट्रेशन ए देखेंगे तो देयर विल बी नो जीएसटी और सर्विस टैक्स एप्लीकेबिलिटी फॉर द रीजन दैट द ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर इज नॉट कैरिंग आउट एनी एक्टिविटी फॉर एनी कंसिडरेशन. In illustration A, the money paid for purchase of machinery is merely in the nature of capital contribution and therefore a transaction in money. Now, second is taxable. How? On the other hand, in illustration B, the operating members uses its own machinery and is therefore providing service within the scope of supply of CGST Act. This is because in this scenario, the operating member is recovering the cost appropriated towards machinery and services from the other JV members in their participating ratio. So therefore, यहाँ पे ये क्या कर रहा है, पैसे कलेक्ट कर रहा है और वो पैसे कलेक्ट करके खुद की मशीन से सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. So that is something which can be squarely covered into the provision of service, and therefore on that GST will be applicable, subject to whether any exemption is there separately or not. But prima facie, this is going to be taxable. So this was notification. Just a minute. Yes. So 35 of 2018. Now comes 44 of 2018, which is 2nd May 2018. Issue which is related to taxability of tenancy rights under GST. Tenancy rights under GST and the taxability thereof. बीच में ये काफी बड़ा इशू हुआ था, काफी सारे इसमें डिस्कशंस भी हुए. Just give me 1 minute. Let me open this file. So the file is there on your screen. 44 of 2018, 2nd May 2018. Issue which is related to taxability of tenancy rights under GST. Doubts have been raised as to, now which are the doubts? दो doubt इसने लिखे हैं, वो क्या doubts है? Whether transfer of tenancy right to an incoming tenant, consideration for which is in form of tenancy premium, shall attract GST when stamp duty and registration charges is levied on the said premium. If yes, what would be the applicable rate? So when I'm transferring a tenancy right to an incoming tenant and I'm charging certain consideration, मैं उससे कुछ पैसे लेता हूँ जिसको मैं टेनेंसी प्रीमियम बोलता हूँ, क्या उसके ऊपर जीएसटी लगेगा? जबकि उसके ऊपर स्टैम्प ड्यूटी और रजिस्ट्रेशन चार्जेस लगते हैं और वो पे भी होते हैं. अगर लगेगा जीएसटी तो क्या रेट से लगेगा? दिस इज फर्स्ट क्वेरी. सेकंड, further, in case of transfer of tenancy right, a part of the consideration for such transfer accrues to the outgoing tenant, whether such supplies will also attract GST. So second question क्या है कि जहाँ पे आप ट्रांसफर करते हो टेनेंसी राइट के, वहाँ पे कुछ कंसिडरेशन जो है वो आउटगोइंग टेनेंट को अक्रू हो जाता है. A part of the consideration for such transfer accrues to the outgoing tenant, whether such supplies would also attract GST. So this is the query. Now let us see what is the reply of the department or the board. The issue has been examined. The transfer of tenancy right against tenancy premium, which is also known as pagadi system, is prevalent in some states. Like आप महाराष्ट्र जाएंगे वहाँ पे मिलेगा आपको. In this system, the tenant acquires tenancy right in the property against payment of tenancy premium, which is pagadi. तो आप कोई प्रॉपर्टी लेने के लिए जाएंगे तो वहाँ पे वो फ्री होल्ड ट्रांसफर्स नहीं होंगी, आपको वो पगड़ी सिस्टम पे मिलेगी कि हाँ ठीक है आप 50 लाख रुपए डिपॉजिट कर दीजिए, फिर जो आपका रेंट रहेगा वो एक नॉमिनल रेंट रहेगा. सो द लैंडलॉर्ड में बी ओनर ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी, but the possession lies with a tenant. The tenant pays periodic rent to the landlord as long as he occupies the property. The tenant also usually has the option to sell the tenancy right of the said property, and in such a case has to share a percentage of the proceed with the owner of the land. तो जनरली वो क्या करेगा, जो उसको छोड़ना होगा, so will charge some amount which is a tenancy premium, और उसमें से कुछ portion he will be sharing with the owner of the land as let down in their tenancy agreement. Alternatively, the landlord pays to tenant the prevailing tenancy premium to get the property vacated. या फिर अगर ओनर ही कैंसिल कराना चाहता है या खाली कराना चाहता है, वेकेट कराना चाहता है, तो he will pay the tenancy premium as per the prevailing market rate. Such properties in Maharashtra are governed by the Maharashtra Rent Control Act. As per Section 9, Clause 1 of the CGST Act, there shall be levied central tax on intra-state supplies of services. The scope of supply includes all forms of, so again the definition is there, and it also includes the activities which are specified in Schedule 2. The activity of transfer of tenancy right against consideration in form of tenancy premium is supply of service which is liable to or liable to GST. So जब मैं ट्रांसफर करता हूँ टेनेंसी राइट का, सो उससे अगर कोई भी कंसिडरेशन मुझे मिलेगा, so that is in the form of tenancy premium and it is liable to GST. It is a form of lease or renting of property, and such activity is specifically declared to be a service in para 2 of the schedule 2. Any lease, tenancy, easement, license to occupy land in supply of services. The contention that stamp duty and registration charges is levied on such transfers of tenancy rights and such transaction thus should not be subject to GST. What is the contention? स्टैम्प ड्यूटी और रजिस्ट्रेशन चार्जेस लग रहे हैं इन ट्रांसफर्स पे, इसलिए उसमें जीएसटी नहीं लगना चाहिए, इज नॉट रेलेवेंट. दे आर outrightly rejecting this submission or the contention, and they are saying no, merely because a transaction or supply involves execution of documents which may require registration and payment of registration fee and stamp duty would not preclude them from the scope of supply of goods and services and from payment of GST. मियरली आप डॉक्यूमेंटेशन कर रहे हैं, रजिस्ट्रेशन कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो उसको प्रिक्लूड कर देगा, उसको फ्री कर देगा. द ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेनेंसी राइट कैनॉट बी ट्रीटेड एज सेल ऑफ लैंड और बिल्डिंग declared as neither a supply of goods nor supply of service in para 5 of schedule 3 to CGST Act. Thus, a consideration for the said activity shall attract levy of GST. To sum up, the activity of transfer of tenancy right is squarely covered under the scope of supply and taxable per se. Transfer of tenancy right to a new tenant against consideration in form of tenancy premium is taxable. However, renting of residential dwelling for use as a residence is exempt. Hence, grant of tenancy right in a residential dwelling for use as residence dwelling against tenancy premium or periodic rent or both is exempt. As regards services provided by outgoing tenant by way of surrendering the tenancy right against consideration in the form of a portion of tenancy premium is liable to GST. So it is 100% liable to GST. There is no question about it, except the situation wherein the tenancy is of the residential property. If it is for the purpose of residential dwelling, then yes, GST will not be applicable. Now let's move ahead. The next circular is 46 bar 2018, which is 6th June 2018. Applicable GST rate on priority sector lending certificates, renewable energy certificates, and other similar scripts. This we have, a part of this we have already covered, but now it is asking for the applicable GST rate. What will be the GST? Applicability we have already read. Now it comes to the applicable GST rate. Yes. 6th June 2018, 46 of 2018. And starting with para 2. Earlier, in response to a FAQ, it was clarified by advertisement dated 27th of July 2017 that MEIS and other scripts like SEIS, IEIS are goods classified under heading 4907 and attract 12% GST, which is the general GST rate for goods falling under heading 4907. Subsequently, the duties credit scripts classified payable under 4907 were exempt from GST. While stock, share, or bond certificates and similar documents of title other than duties credit scripts classifiable under heading 4907 attract 12% GST. So what does it say? कि 12% का रेट था जिसका क्लैरिफिकेशन ऑलरेडी इन्होंने दे दिया था 4907 में क्वालिफाई करके क्लासिफाई करके. फर्दर इन्होंने क्या किया, जो भी ड्यूटी स्क्रिप्ट्स थे 4907 में विच वर एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम जीएसटी, लेकिन स्टॉक, शेयर और बॉन्ड सर्टिफिकेट और सिमिलर डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऑफ टाइटल थे, वो अभी भी 12% के कैटेगरी में है. लेटर ऑन सर्कुलर 34 of 2018 which we have read today was issued clarifying that PSLCs are taxable as goods at a standard rate of 18%. तो उन्होंने बोला स्टैंडर्ड रेट ऑफ 18% से लगेगा और 453 में वो एज अ रेजिडुअल एंट्री में क्लासिफाई होगा. दिस इज व्हाट दे हैव सेड. As a result, there is lack of clarity on the applicable rate of GST on various script certificates like REC, PSLC, etc. The matter has been re-examined. GST rate of 18% under the residual entry 453 of Schedule 3 of Notification 1 by 2017 applies only to those goods who are not covered under any entries of Schedule 1, 2, 4, 5 or 6 of the notification. In other words, if any goods are covered under any of the entries of Schedule 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6 or 6, the GST rate applicable to them will be decided accordingly without resorting to the residual value. So therefore residual entry. So therefore 453 में वो नहीं आएंगे. तो 4907 में अगर हो तो 12% में चले जाएंगे. That is what they are trying to press. As such, various certificates like REC, PSLCs, etc. are classified under heading 4907 and will accordingly attract 12%, though the duty paying script classifiable under the same heading will attract nil GST. So as per the serial number 122A of notification 2/2017, as amended by notification 35 of 2017, which is 13th October 2017. Accordingly, in modification of serial number 3 of circular 34 of 2018, dated 1st March 2018, it is hereby clarified that renewable energy certificates and priority sector lending certificates and other similar documents are classifiable under heading 4907 and attract 12% GST. So अभी उन्होंने सुधार दिया है. पहले उन्होंने 453 में क्लासिफाई किया था, 18% रेट बोला था. अभी उन्होंने उसको बोल दिया कि 4907 में आएगा और 12% रेट लगेगा. Duty credit scripts, however, attract nil rate GST under section serial number 122 capital A of the notification 2/2017. तो इन ऑल मेरा एक्सपीरियंस ये है कि जो क्लासिफिकेशन के नोटिफिकेशंस होते हैं या सर्कुलर्स होते हैं, दे फर्दर complicate the things in spite of simplifying it. Anyways, moving further, 47 of 2018, clarifications on certain issues under GST. Let me just open the file. Yes, 47 of 2018, 8th June 2018. So representation were received. कुछ चीजों के issues को clarification करने के लिए आए हैं. They are trying to clarify this. 1. Whether molds and dies owned by the original equipment manufacturers that are sent free of cost to a component manufacturer is liable to tax, and whether OEMs are required to reverse input tax credit in this case. So what does it say? जो OEM होते हैं, ओरिजिनल इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, उन्होंने जो ओन की होती है मोल्ड और डाइज, अगर वो फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट भेजी जाती है कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर को, वेदर इट इज लेवेबल टू टैक्स, और क्या जो OEM है उनको रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा अपना ITC इस केस में, दैट इज द क्वेरी. Now how does it being clarified? It says molds and dies owned by the original employment equipment manufacturer which are provided to a component manufacturer, the two not being related persons or distinct person on FOC basis, does not constitute a supply as there is no consideration involved. Further, since the molds and dies are provided on FOC basis by the OEM to the component manufacturer in the course or furtherance of business, there is no requirement for reversal of input tax credit availed on such molds and dies by the OEM. So what does it say? It says further, first and foremost, there is no supply. There is no leviability of tax. Second, it says, chunki the molds or dies are provided on free of charge basis, there is no cost or there is no charge which is being charged by the OEM for supplying it to the component manufacturer in the course or furtherance of his business. There is no requirement for reversal of input tax credit availed on such molds and dies by the OEM. There is no requirement of any reversal of input tax credit. It is further clarified that while calculating the value of the supply made by the component manufacturer, the value of molds and dies provided by OEM to the component manufacturer FOC shall not be added to the value of such supply because the cost of mold or die was not to be incurred by the component manufacturer and thus does not merit inclusion in the value of supply in terms of 15(2)(b) of the CGST Act 2017. So what does it say? Further वो clarify कर रहे हैं कि जब हम value of supply component supplier के की जब हम निकालेंगे तो उसमें जो value of mold और dies हैं जो OEM ने provide किया है free of charge basis पे, वो add नहीं किया जाएगा. Reason है कि जो mold और die का जो cost है, it was never incurred by the component manufacturers और therefore 15(2)(b) के हिसाब से भी उसको include नहीं किया जाना चाहिए. Further वो बोल रहे हैं कि however, if the contract between OEM and component manufacturer was for supply of components made by using mold or dies belonging to the component manufacturer, but the same have been supplied by the OEM to the component manufacturer on the FOC basis, the amortized cost of such molds or dies shall be added to the value of components. So उस केस में जो amortized cost होगा वो add किया जाएगा. In such cases, the OEM will be required to reverse the credit availed on such molds or dies as the same will not be considered to be provided by OEM to the component manufacturer in the course or furtherance of farmer's business and therefore the reversal is required. So तीसरा इन्होंने बोला कि अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है OEM और component manufacturer के बीच में supply of components के लिए which is made by using such mold of dies, अगर ऐसा कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है जो कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर को बिलोंग करता है, उससे मैन्युफैक्चर किया है, कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर को जो बिलोंग करता है उससे अगर मैन्युफैक्चर किया है और वो सप्लाई किया गया है OEM के द्वारा कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर को फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट के बेसिस पे, तो जो अमोर्टाइज्ड कॉस्ट है उस मोल्ड और डाई का वो ऐड किया जाएगा कॉस्ट ऑफ कंपोनेंट्स में और उस सिचुएशन में OEM को उसकी प्रोपोर्शनेट क्रेडिट रिवर्सल करनी पड़ेगी. नेक्स्ट इज हाउ इज सर्विसिंग ऑफ कार्स involving both supply of goods, that is spare parts, and services, which is labor, where the value of goods and services are shown separately to be treated under GST. जहाँ पे value of goods और सर्विसेज दोनों को आप सेपरेट दिखा रहे हो उसको कैसे GST में ट्रीटमेंट होगा. इनिशियली बहुत कंफ्यूजन हुआ, सब लोग ये तो अग्री कर गए that this is a composite supply, but then there was a lot of confusion that when the rate, which rate, and whether total पे एक रेट लगाना है, जब आप दोनों को अलग अलग दिखाते हैं तो उसके रेस्पेक्टिव रेट लगाने हैं, क्या करना चाहिए. So that is being answered. The taxability of supply would have to be determined on a case-to-case basis, looking at the facts and circumstances of each case. Whereas supply involves supply of both goods and services, and the value of such goods and services supplied are shown separately. The goods and services would be liable to tax at the rate as applicable to such goods and services separately. So आप इंडिविजुअल सब रेट लगाएं, जो आपने स्पेयर पार्ट सप्लाई किया उसके ऊपर जो रेट है उसको वहां लगाएं, जो सर्विसेज है उसको सर्विसेज के रेट लगाएं. Next is in case of auction of tea, coffee, rubber, etc. Whether the books of account are required to be maintained at every place of business by the principal and auctioneer, and whether they are eligible to avail input tax credit. So what is the query? जब ऑक्शन होगा टी कॉफी रबर एक्सेट्रा का, तो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स कहाँ पे मेंटेन करते हैं? प्रिंसिपल प्लेस पे या ऑक्शनर की प्लेस पे भी, और इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट के लिए एलिजिबिलिटी है या नहीं. The requirement of maintaining the books of accounts at the principal place of business and additional place of business is clarified as below. For the purpose of auction of tea, coffee, rubber, etc., the principal and the auctioneer may declare the warehouses where such goods are stored as their additional place of business. The buyer is also required to disclose such warehouse as his additional place of business if he wants to store the goods purchased through auction in such warehouses. तो warehouse को एडिशनल प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस बताना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे वो स्टोर किया जा रहा है, और जो व्यक्ति परचेज कर रहा है उसको भी वेयर हाउस को अपना एडिशनल प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस बताना पड़ेगा अगर वो वहाँ पे स्टोर करना चाहता है तो. फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ टी थ्रू अ प्राइवेट ट्रीटी, द प्रिंसिपल एंड ऑक्शनर may also comply with the said provisions. The principal and auctioneer, for the purpose of auction of tea, coffee, rubber, etc., or the principal and the auctioneer for the purpose of supply of tea through a private treaty, are required to maintain the books of accounts relating to each and every place of business in that place itself in terms of first proviso to subsection 1 of section 35. Section 35 is very clear कि आपको प्रिंसिपल प्लेस पे प्रिंसिपल प्लेस से रिलेटेड और एडिशनल प्लेसेस में एडिशनल प्लेसेस से रिलेटेड डॉक्यूमेंट्स वही मेंटेन करने हैं. However, in case of difficulties are faced in maintaining the books of accounts, it is clarified that they may maintain the books of accounts relating to the additional places of business at their principal place of business instead of the additional places. If there is practical difficulty, then in that case, those can be maintained at the principal place. This is what is being permitted. The principal and the auctioneer, for the purpose of auction of tea, coffee, rubber, etc., or the principal and the auctioneer, for the purpose of supply of tea through a private treaty, shall intimate their jurisdictional officer in writing about the maintenance of books of accounts relating to the additional places of business at their principal place of business. So, एक सेटल्ड प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लॉ है कि जो चीज डिपार्टमेंट के नॉलेज में हो उसके ऊपर फिर वो सप्रेशन या किसी चीज का एलिगेशन आपको नहीं लगा सकते. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज बीइंग क्लैरिफाइड है कि अगर आप जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स है वो प्रिंसिपल प्लेस और additional place पे maintain कर रहे हैं, then there is not an issue. Then there is no issue at all. But if you are maintaining all the documents at the principal place and not at the additional place, then you will have to inform the jurisdictional officer how your books are being maintained, so that future में अगर कभी कोई allegation या कभी कोई dispute आता है, then you can very well say that sir, हमने तो आपको already intimate कर दिया था. This is not a case wherein we have suppressed it. We have intimated that these were the practical difficulties. Because of these reasons, we were unable to maintain the books of accounts at the additional places. Now we have maintained, and therefore we have maintained it at the principal place. It is further clarified that principal and the auctioneer for the purpose of auction of tea, coffee, rubber, etc., or the principal and auctioneer for the purpose of supply of tea through a private treaty shall be eligible to avail input tax credit subject to the fulfillment of other provisions of CGST Act, read with rules made thereafter. So, ITC पे कोई issue नहीं है. ITC can be availed subject to the provisions of law. Moving further, in case of transportation of goods by railways, whether goods can be delivered even if the e-way bill is not produced at the time of delivery. Meaning thereby indirect question है कि e-way bill mandatory है क्या, और अगर mandatory है तो e-way bill अगर produce नहीं किया गया तो क्या delivery दे सकते हैं? As per proviso to rule 138 sub rule 2 capital A of the CGST rules, the railways shall not deliver the goods unless the e-way bill is produced at the time of delivery. So therefore, production of e-way bill is mandatory as per this circular. Whether e-way bill is required in the following cases: 1, where goods transit through another state while moving from one area in a state to another area in the same state. अगर goods transit हो रहा है एक area से दूसरी state में, दूसरी area में same state में, तो क्या e-way bill जरूरी है? It may be noted that e-way bill generation is not dependent on whether a supply is interstate or not, but on whether the movement of goods is interstate or I think there is some printing issue where it has to be, but on whether the movement of goods is there or not. Therefore, if the goods transit through a second state while moving from one place in a state to another place in the same state, an e-way bill is required to be generated, subject to the amount which is for which, or the amount, if the amount is less than this amount threshold, then e-way bill is not required. वो 50 रुपए या 1 लाख जो भी लिमिट है अलग अलग स्टेट्स में वो आपको देखनी है, बट अदरवाइज e-way bill has to be maintained mandatory. केवल एक जगह एग्जेम्पशन दिया गया, आप ट्रांसपोर्टर के पास अगर भेजते हैं अपने गुड्स को तो उस पर e-way bill बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है, और उसमें भी मेरे ख्याल से देयर इज सम डिस्टेंस ऑफ 10 किलोमीटर or something like that, that if it is within 10 kilometers then e-way bill generation is not required provided it is sent to the transporter और weighing वगैरह के लिए, ऐसा कुछ exemption है. Where goods move from a DTA unit to SEZ unit or vice versa located in the same state. So DTA से SEZ या vice versa same state में, तो क्या e-way bill जरूरी है? Where goods move from DTA to SEZ unit or vice versa located in the same state, there is no requirement to generate an e-way bill if the same has been exempted under Rule 138(14) Clause G. अगर वो exempted है section Rule 138 Clause 14 sub clause D में, then there is no requirement to generate e-way bill. Now moving to the file. So we have done 47. Now let us do with 50 of 2018, which is 31st of July 2018. It seeks to withdraw circular number 28 dated 8th January 2018 as amended by corrigendum 18th January 2018 and order number 2/2018 of central tax. So it is for the purpose of withdrawal. Let's see what is being provided in the circular. Yes, 13 July 2018, 50 of 2018. इन्होंने क्या विड्रॉ किया है? 28 नंबर का जो सर्कुलर था और उसका जो कॉरिजेंडम था वो दोनों विड्रॉ किया, और 2/2018 जो ऑर्डर है वो. So the circular number 28 dated so and so as amended by corrigendum 2 and so was issued to clarify GST rate applicable on the catering services. Therefore, supply of supply of food or drink in a mess or canteen in an educational institution. Also, order number 2 of 2018 central tax dated 31st March 2013 was issued to clarify rate on supply of food and or drinks by the Indian Railway or Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation Limited or their licensees in trains or at platforms. So this was being clarified 28 नंबर के सर्कुलर से, उसके अमेंडेड सर्कुलर से, and then 2/2018 से. Consequent to the decisions of 28th GST Council meeting held on 21st of July 2018, the contents of circular 28 dated so and so as amended by corrigendum so and so have been incorporated in serial number 7(1) of the notification 13/2018 central tax rate dated 26th of July 2018, amending the notification 11/2017 dated 28th June. So 13/2018 से इन्होंने रेट को 7(1) सीरियल नंबर में डाल दिया है, जो 13/2018 का सीरियल नंबर है. So they have amended 11/2017. Also the contents of the order 2/2018 में जो contents थे, that has also been incorporated in serial number 7(1)A of notification 13 of 2018 dated 26th of July 2018 by way of amending notification number 11/2017. Hence, circular number 28 as amended by corrigendum number so and so and order number 2 of 2018 is withdrawn with effect on 27th of July 2018. So this is a circular which has been withdrawn with effect from this particular date. That is 27th of July 2018. Now, let's do one more. 51 of 2018, 31st of July 2018, applicability of GST on ambulance services provided to government by private service providers under the National Health Mission. So what will be the applicability of GST into this? This is a big circular. It will take its own time, but let's try to cover it up today itself, because there are so many circulars. There are many circulars which are yet to be covered. So now 51 of 2018, 31st July 2018 is the date. I'm reading from para 2. The service tax exemption at serial number 2 of 25 by 2012, dated 20th June 2012, has been carried forward under GST in the identical form by serial number 74 of notification number 12 by 2017, dated 28th June. Service tax exemption at serial number 25A of the notification 25 by 2012 has also been substantially, although not in the same form, continued under GST white serial number 3 and 3A of the notification 12 by 2017. The said exemption entries under service tax and GST notifications are as under. So serial number 2 में आप देखेंगे तो healthcare services by way of clinical establishment and services provided by way of transportation of patient by in an ambulance other than specified in one above. Then 25A में provided to government, local authority or a government authority by way of water supply, public health, sanitation, conservancy, solid waste management और slum improvement and upgradation. ये services थी. और 74 में GST में क्या है? By way of healthcare services by clinical establishment और services provided by way of transportation in an ambulance other than specified in clause A above. So same है. Serial number 3 में there was services provided to government. Now here is pure services excluding work contract service or other composite supplies involving supply of any goods. So it has to be pure service provided to central government, state government or union territory, local authority or a government authority or a government entity by way of an activity in relation to any function entrusted to a panchayat under Article 243G of the Constitution or in relation to any function entrusted to a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution. So that is covered, that is exempt. And 3A में क्या है? Composite supply of goods and services in which the value of supply of goods constitutes not more than 25% of the value of said composite supply provided to the central government, state government or union territory or local authorities or government authority or a government entity by way of any activity in relation to any function entrusted to a panchayat under Article 243G or in relation to a function entrusted to a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution. So this is more or less same, but there is a difference in service tax and GST. Now, para 3. Functions of health and sanitation is entrusted to panchayats under Article 243G of the Constitution of India, read with 11th schedule. Functions of public health is entrusted to municipalities under 243W. So, health and sanitation is with panchayat and public health is with municipality of the 243W of the Constitution, read with 12th schedule. पहले था 11th schedule to the Constitution. Thus, ambulance services are an activity in relation to functions entrusted to panchayat and municipalities under Article 243G, because वो health and sanitation में भी आएगा और public health में भी आएगा 243W. In view of the above, it is clarified that the clarification contained in circular number 210 of 2018 of service tax, dated 30th May 2018, with regards to services provided by government and PSPs by way of transportation of patients in an ambulance is applicable for the purpose of GST also, as the said services are specifically exempt under notification number 12 by 2017, white serial number 74. As regards the services provided by PSPs to the state government by way of transportation of the patients, just a minute, by way of transportation of patients on behalf of the state government against consideration in form of fees or otherwise charged from the state government, it is clarified that the same would be exempt under serial number 3, which we have read, and serial number 3A. दोनों में conditions है, if it is a pure service and not a composite supply, serial number 3 में, और serial number बी में कि आपका जो वैल्यू ऑफ गुड्स का कंपोजिशन है वो 25% से ज्यादा टोटल वैल्यू में नहीं होना चाहिए, then it is exempt, otherwise not. So this is what is being provided so far as this circular is concerned. And ये जो सर्विस टैक्स का सर्कुलर था, this is also appended with this particular circular, so I'll not be reading that. So friends, we have done up till 51 of 2018. From tomorrow we'll be taking up 52 onwards. So once again, a very happy Guru Purnima to all of you, and thank you very much for being there and bearing with me, because there are a lot of issues which we are facing in conducting these sessions. But as I have committed, as I have said, that भले ही टाइम लगेगा शायद, लेकिन हम ये करेंगे। और इसके सेशंस अपलोडेड हैं, तो जो लोग भी बाद में देखना चाहते हैं, कभी भी रेफर करना चाहते हैं, इट इज available for their references, and very soon we'll be uploading on the main YouTube channel also, which will be available for the public at large. Once again, I'm thankful to each one of you. Thank you very much.